to me, Renee. I'm back, and I'm doing something now that I don't really do that often, but I do sometimes. And as you can see, this is a reading vlog from my title. So at Somerton, this series name. Not all series has names. Well, most of them have. Anyway, it's a trilogy. The first one is Cinders and Sapphires. Second one is Diamonds and Deceits. It came out about 10 years ago. Yes, time flies. I originally read these two when they came out. They had different covers then. I have the old covers. But for some reason, I can never find. I found the third book when it came out, but it was always sold out. I suppose I could have gotten it online some places, but this series was never huge. So yeah, it was more or less always sold out from or still online, even from online spaces. But now recently it's been republished with new covers. So oh yes, time for a reread and finish the series. So yeah, this weekend, I started rereading the first one on Tuesday, and then I finished it on the early mornings. No, not early mornings. I finished it about 11 last evening, and then I just went straight on to reading the second one, and then I finished this at around 2 in the morning. Hi. When you're on a reading binge and when you're in a mood, reading jam. When you're in a reading mood, reading pace, you're in a reading pace. Sometimes you read fast. And both of these aren't like huge books, they're like 350, maybe like 380, so they're easily read or fast read, at least for me. But yeah, the first one, this one, yeah. It's kind of been described as Downton Abbey for my own audience. I don't think it's quite true because the main focus is the young characters. So, what I thought about it the other day, I mean, Downton Abbey also has mostly. I suppose Downton Abbey, he focuses on the whole family, but like the sisters and the young guests who come and like Daniel, the heir, they're all those are young. Those none of them start as old. But like in difference to Downton Abbey, this one only focuses on young characters. There's not really that much focus on the older people involved, though there are older people in it. So yeah, this one starts with a prologue. A lady Ada, she is on a boat from India back to England. Her dad, she's English royalty. She's English nobility. Her dad is going back to England after losing a job in India. It's not really quite explained what happened with it, but there's something happened. She was fired or had to go under mysterious circumstances. And on the boat, she meets Ravi. He's the valet. No, he's a student and assistant to one of the other people on the boat, and he's going to England to study in Oxford because he was lucky enough to get that opportunity. Of course, they meet on the boat, and there's love at first sight, or love at first sight. There's attraction at first sight, I suppose you could say. But they both know nothing can happen, so they stay friends while in England. They keep keep in contact with the letters, and I mean, from the very beginning, they say like, "Well, we can't be friends. We can't be friends. We can't be sweethearts. We can't be an item because class and all that jazz." But of course, they end up falling in love, and stuff like that happens. So that's kind of like at one point in this book, they kiss, and then Lady Ava goes away from for a few seconds, like, "We can never meet again." And I love the drama, that line, "We can never meet again." It's just so easy but lovable, and it just kind of brings all the emotions. It's just, it's quite fun, cheesy fun. But yeah, I very much enjoy that. Like, when I read it for the first time, I was like, "Oh yes." Now reading it's just so funny because of the dramatic drama. It's just like, we can never meet again. But yeah, I do very much enjoy it. But like this is also a series with this different characters. It's not just one main character, different characters. So you have Lady Ada, you have her sister, Lady Georgiana, who she doesn't really have a big role in the first book. She has more of a role in the second book, but she's still there. And then also in the beginning of the first book and the series here, um, Lady Ada's dad gets remarried. Her mom's dead, long dead. We don't really know how long ago her mom has died. I don't really think we ever really. Well, I suppose she died while they were in England, in India, but no. Yeah, I think she was died illness, some sort of illness. I think it's a long time ago. Anyway, her dad remarries at the start of this book. Remarries a rich widow. He has a title, but he has some family who's kind of using up all his money for at the estate, so he needs to marry rich, but he also likes the woman, and they marry. And then, so Lady Ada gets step siblings. She gets 3 step siblings, 2 men and a woman. 2 men and a woman. I mean, none of them are kids, I would say. Yeah, 2 men and a woman. It's Michael, and then you have Sebastian, and then you have Charlotte. Charlotte is kind of scheming and a bit snobbish and uppity. She doesn't really like living in Somerton, which is the country, not London. And yeah, but we follow Charlotte, we follow Lady Ada, we also follow Rose, which is actually one of the maids. And I would say pretty damn soon you kind of guess that something is up with Rose. Something is there's more to it than you can than what catches the eye. And I'm gonna say it. Okay, a slight spoiler though. I mean, you can guess it from a mile away. Rose is well, Rose. Spoiler, in case you don't want a slight spoiler. But Rose is the illegitimate daughter of Lady Ada's dad, well, the Lord, and the housekeeper. So yeah, and then at the end of this book, she kind of gets adopted, and then becomes a lady herself. So it's kind of like Haspel's in a way that kind of class journey, and it has that Cinderella effect in a way. In a way, I would kind of say like this, at least in my mind, it kind of does what. It's gonna give me dislikes, but yeah, at least for me, it kind of does what Bridgerton wants to do in a much better way, because it kind of has a lot of the same elements. There's high society, there's drama, romance, things going on. Well, with this series, I get much more invested in the characters. But I suppose I can't really, in a way, like I can't talk that much about Bridgerton because I just read the one book, and there's 7 books. With this, I've read half of the series now because I've read both first and second, and it's a trilogy. But yeah, yeah, I still kind of feel like this one does it much better because Bridgerton, you know, it's kind of the same thing where they have it's drama, it's romance, it's high society. But with that one, I kind of felt like it just kind of felt like a very surface level. I didn't really care that much about anyone really. But this one, I care about all the characters, even like the characters that you just meet a few scenes. You care about all of them. I suppose that's kind of maybe says more about the writer than the story. I'm not sure. Anyway, I really love the story. And yeah, so this is the first book. Yeah, lots of fun drama and cheesiness, and yeah, I would say like if you want historical cheesiness, historical fun, cheesy romance drama is what I would call it. Check out this series, and then at Somerton, which is the second book. In this one, like some characters are introduced in this one, which in this one kind of gets a whole new layers, which like oh, people from the first one you kind of thought oh that person is perfect, and then you realize here oh they're not perfect. So yeah, that's interesting. And this one is based more around the season in London and things happening there. And yeah, I really also very much enjoyed this one as well. And yeah, as I said, I just finished this one. Well, I finished this one actually early this year. Reread early today. And yeah, originally I just read the first two. And I remember when I reread this one yesterday, I felt like, oh, I love being back in this world. And like, I read it, but it was years ago, so I didn't remember that much. And it's just kind of fun to be back in the world, but kind of discovering things. Because, I mean, yeah, I love rereading stuff. But when you reread stuff, you read once a year or very often. You often remember all the stuff, so it's kind of more automatic, more kind of different. But like when you reread a book I haven't read in a while, it's kind of much more at the front. You kind of, oh, that's what happened here. Oh, that's what happened with that. And yeah, kind of discovering new things. And yeah, very much enjoy that one. Uh, but yeah, I reread both of these, and both of these were two ones I originally read. And I really enjoy them both, but I kind of like the second one. Kind of in a way feels very much like an end. So like when I finished this yesterday, I was kind of thinking, well, I do know. I mean, I've always known, but like I do know this is the third one. I own the third one. I just started the third one. And I kind of think, I just kind of thinking, what will happen in the third one? Because the second one kind of wrapped a lot of stuff up. I suppose yes, you could do more with lots of different stuff, but I feel like in a way this could be a trilogy. Honestly, I'm quite curious on like how the third book stacks up, how the third book is. Like, is it like necessary or is it just kind of a long epilogue? Though I suppose the third one it takes place during the beginning of the First World War, so you will have all that war drama to it. So I suppose that's kind of a new fun territory. But still, it kind of feels a bit weird because this one wrapped so much stuff up. And it kind of felt like it ended so neat and tightly, and yeah, like in a bow. And now we're getting. It's not like we're getting. It's always been a third one, but yeah, I'm just kind of curious how the third one is. But though yeah, as I said, I'm curious about how the third one is. I started the third one it's like an hour ago, and I'm enjoying it. I'm still kind of feeling like, I'm curious about like the whole concept of this third one, because some series, at least for me, I think it's not that uncommon really. You read and you enjoy a lot of the books, and then you read a book and like, okay, what the point of that book? Like you feel like nothing really happened. Maybe it's the third in trilogy, or maybe it's kind of the middle book and then small books after. But like sometimes you read a book in the series and I think like, okay, yeah, it's fun to be back in this world because I mean, series you kind of love being in a world. That's why you have series, or to explore lots of places in the world. But like sometimes you're really like thinking, well, this didn't explore anything new in this world. This didn't come with new characters. Nothing new happened. Nothing that interesting happened. And you're kind of like thinking, what was the overthinking writing this? So, and yeah, sometimes kind of books kind of feel unnecessary. So yeah, I'm curious about the third book. So if I'm enjoying it, but some books start really good and then they become yeah, or maybe all the book is good, but it never feels necessary. That might be it. I don't know. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the first two books, and I'll come back when I finish the third one, which I'm pretty sure is going to be today. I want to do like a weekend thing of it, which I'm doing. Yeah, as you see. Uh, yeah, that's kind of that, and I'll see you next clip. Bye. Hey, it's me, Renee. I'm back. So I finished Emeralds and Ashes, the third and final book in this trilogy. So yeah, last I saw you, I talked about how I was curious about this book, like what my thoughts would be and how it would fit. Honestly, I'm still a bit curious because even though yeah, it's a good book, it wasn't bad. It was yeah, maybe I would even say it's best book, but these two and this one, they kind of in a way feel like spin-offs, companion books. They don't really feel like series. this kind of feels like a duology, and this kind in a way feels like a spin-off, like a companion. Okay, so these two, they're set in 1913, 1912. There's some time jumps, but it's set around that time. And then this one is set during the First World War, 1915, 1914, so the beginning of the war. And I mean, yeah, there's talk about things happening in these books, but there's not really serious war talks. I would say mainly these two books, I think I would say are mainly about like India's starting points to get into independence, or like India wants to be independent, and that's kind of what they talk slightly about in these two books, and also a bit about Soviets. But that's more or less it. They don't really talk that much about politics and kind of the danger of war at all, really. And in this one, okay, so also, and this one has an epilogue where the war just started. So this one, the war has been going for a few months, and then, well, when it starts, it's been going for a few months, and then, then you kind of have the first beginning of the war. But yeah, it kind of feels jarring because, as I said, these two in a non-war world, this in a war world. So this is all about the seasoned debutantes finding a husband. This is about war. People being blind, people being killed, etc., etc. So I wouldn't say that this is a bad book. I would just say it's just so jarring in a way. It's just so jarring because it feels, as I said, it feels more like a companion than a sequel. Really, it doesn't really feel like a third in a trilogy. It feels like much more like a this one is over here and this one is way over here. I mean, yeah, they're in the same room because they're in the same universe. But other than that, they're just so different. It just feels weird. And yeah, I was talking about earlier how like I was curious about how I would think about this book if it would feel necessary or bad or something like that. And having finished it, I'm still not sure because, as I said, it's not a bad book. It's just so different from the rest. It just feels. I mean, yeah, as I said, I enjoy this book so much, but I would say like the overwhelming idea that I have after finishing it is it's just so jarring. I kind of feel like maybe you should have had like a warning at the beginning, like this book is set during a war, or maybe have like in between short story between the epilogue and this book where you could get more into like there's a war now. I suppose also, yeah, this one quite in the beginning, the war like it doesn't jump into the trenches, but pretty soon it is in trenches. But I would still have liked like a short story or maybe a third book, and then this would be the fourth book, and then the third book would be more like about the very beginning of the war and like just take place around the epilogue, the second book, or what have you. I, I'm not a writer, so I'm not really sure how to. I feel like I'm coming off as I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. It's just weird. Weird is what I'm gonna say. But yeah, having said that, I just want to illustrate. I really enjoyed this book, and yeah, I think I might. I think actually this might be my favorite in the series. I'm thinking actually that might be the case. That's kind of weird because I already enjoyed the series, and this book is quite different from the other book, as I've said so many times now. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Though there was some parts I was like, what? Like, okay, so spoiler? No, it's not spoiler. Okay, so Lady Ada, one of the main characters, from the very start, she wants to go to Oxford. In the first book, she wants to go to Oxford, and that's kind of a goal of hers. And first, it's this kind of she loves to learn. She wants to go to Oxford. She wants an education, and then After a while, she kind of hints maybe she wants to be a journalist. And then in second book, she starts going to actually, yeah, she actually doesn't start going to Oxford before this book, but she talks about going to Oxford for 2 books, and then she goes to Oxford in this book. So this book takes place in Oxford as well as Somerton and London and places. Was part of the other books took place in Oxford as well, but not that many. I would say this one takes more place in Oxford. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, in this book though, she talks about how she has this big desire of being a lawyer, which, don't take me wrong, lawyers cool. But it kind of feels like, okay, but you came out of nowhere. Like earlier she talks about she's written stuff and she has had article published about, okay, journalism, yeah, that's a cool profession, and that's one profession you can do as a female in that time. And then this one, no, I wanna be a lawyer. I mean, I don't mind things like being revealed or like plot points being changed or like things changing in people's life in books. But if things change, just give us a reason, give us hints, give us foreshadowing, something. It, it just kind of came out of nowhere. Plus, anyway, yes, came out of nowhere is good because that is unpredictable and that's nice. But like, I don't know. In my head, I feel like in in fantasies, I kind of feel like things should come out of nowhere. That would be fun and twisty and stuff. But in historical novels or like in books set in our world, having someone go from thinking that to that, it's please have it be more foreshadowed or more explained or just more elaborated. I mean, yeah, it's not even like she talks that much about being a lawyer. She just talks. She just wants to be a lawyer now. She talks about how she admires a female lawyer. Cool, but like, could you go a bit more into it? Because like I was about to say spoilers. It's not spoilers. Slight spoilers. Slight spoilers. Slight spoilers. Okay. So Charlotte in this series, she ends up being a nurse. A nurse, which I suppose wasn't that uncommon in the war, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't the usual way for nobility, but she wanted to do something for the war and ended up doing that. And that's also a fine, fun um, uh, occupation for a female in this time. Well, like, anyway, I mean, not like females can't be nurses now. Sorry. Uh, but yeah, so having Ada thinking like, because she talks about how she wants to do something with her life. She doesn't just want to. I mean, it's kind of clear that she wants to like have occupation somewhere somehow. She doesn't just want to be a wife or a daughter. She wants to be a working woman. But like, I mean, she could have made a difference in the world by being a nurse or being a doctor or being. I mean, you make a difference by doing a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I just feel like this no lawyer thing should have been more explained, really. And then it sounds kind of now like I don't like this book. I do. I just have some nitpicks that are kind of annoying me. But yeah, I did. I mean, yeah. Okay, so getting back to it. Well, yeah, getting more into it. So this book, I think part of the reason that it kind of feels like a companion to the other books in a way, because this book, it has a lot of new characters. It has some new settings, and yeah, that just kind of feels kind of like, okay, so we're just completely new characters now. Okay, some of the new characters work, and some kind of go from that to that, and like how you don't really get enough time with them, so it doesn't really work in my mind anyway. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't work really, but I don't know. Again, it seems like dissing this book. I'm not. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. Be aware that this book kind of will give you thoughts. Thoughts. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. Um. Also, if you do have this version of the paperback, I can't. I mean, I can't talk about other versions because this is the one I have. if you do have this version, and if you're gonna read the series and you haven't read it before, if you didn't read the old version, so you haven't read it before now, and you've seen this and you're like, oh, that sounds like something for me, I want to read it. Just a little heads up, don't read the back before you start reading it. I mean, because you don't, I suppose, one, because you don't need to, because it's third in the series. If you read the first two, you will still enjoy this one, even though it's a bit jarring. But mainly two. So like the third sentence on the blurb gives away a spoiler. I suppose you could ask yourself, how do you define a spoiler? At least in my head, I'm thinking like a spoiler is something that's kind of something that changes a lot of the story, or something that's kind of has an impact. And also, I would say like something that happens, like something that happens out in the book. I feel like if something's written at the back, I feel like, okay, so that's kind of something general or something that happens in the beginning. So I knew something going in, but I kind of expected it to happen very soon in the book. So yeah, I didn't say this also before, but yeah. So this book, the whole series, it's divided into parts: part 1, 2, and 3. So kind of they're kind of beginning. It takes place in the beginning. This happens, and then right before part 1 ends, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger or something happens, and then part 2, part 3. So the thing that they talk about at the blurb here, I'm just gonna give you that so you see the back slightly. The thing they mention, it happens at the end of part 1, that being page 170, no, actually 190, yeah. So just around like almost 200 pages into the book. And it's not like the book is that long either. Well, okay, yeah. So this book is 411 pages. But yeah. It happens. So yeah, I would say it happens more or less. Oh, double check it. But pretty sure that happens. Yeah, it happens at page 160. But it's still like quite a lot has happened. And 160, I mean, that's pretty close to the 200 mark. So it's kind of closer to the midway mark. So yeah, I would say that's a spoiler. And so just if you're gonna read it, don't read the blurb because you don't want it spoiled. You don't want that to happen. Yeah, I was just kind of assuming it would be the thing would happen very soon, and it didn't, and it just kind of felt so jarring that it like I've expected the next chapter, the next page, this would happen, and it didn't, and then at the very then it happened. And like, what? It happens now? Because after a while, I was thinking like maybe the blurb is wrong because like I expected it to happen so soon. Honestly, that's not something that happens often, but sometimes I do believe that blurb talk about things that happen late in the books, and I'm like, why would you spoil or mention something that's happening so late in the book? Why would you do that? I don't know. Because marketing? I don't know. But I feel like you could still have I think you can simply have like a blurb saying this is the third book in this series. The First World War is happening. Change is happening to everyone's life, and you could just have something like vague like that. You didn't really need to go into details. So yeah. Also, it kind of hints at some stuff in the blurb that kind of feel like doesn't really happen. So maybe that's just me interpreting it, but I feel like the marketing for this, or like the marketing or the publication, the book for this book, I mean like the outside of it was maybe not the best. Yeah, also third point, similar point, but it's not about blurb, it's about the cover. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you. So the other covers, this is the first one, second one, and third. So take a look. What's kind of at the forefront of this cover? What is at the forefront? What is at the forefront? Two people. Yes, they are characters that are important. Yes, but they're not the only characters that are important. And yeah, I'm going to say it. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. But spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Now you won't. But yeah, so by having the same couple, two people at the cover of all of the books, you're kind of thinking, okay, so these are in every book, and oh, this is the last book. Okay, they're smiling at each other. They're gonna end up happily ever after because I mean they were in all the books. In this book, this couple they break up halfway. So it's like that just made me so confused because for like okay, but the cover. So I kind of assume they would get back together. They don't, and it's not hinted at all. So yeah, I don't know. That's just wrong marketing. Like, don't put people on covers if they're not in. And also, like in the second book, here he's also up in the second book. Ravi, he's in like 3 scenes in this book. 3 scenes. It why? Why? I mean, yeah, maybe you want like those Indian readers to buy the book. Cool, but like them being lied to because you can think, oh, there's an Indian guy in this book. He's not in it so much. So people are gonna be mad that you mismarketed the book. And like you could have like a cover with like pictures of settings or you could have pictures of a lot of people or you could have pictures of objects. You don't need to have misleading cover. It's not like they aren't in the book, but in the third book to have it in that way, they don't end up together. They don't end up together. It's annoying. It's quite annoying. Yeah, yeah. I feel like I ended this being like a bit like I don't know mad, but I would say like all in all, to summarize, I would say that I still really much enjoy this series. It's I would say I would recommend it if you want enjoyable, cheese but funny and good series, historical based. Set in the First World War. A lot of books are set in the Second World War. This is the First World War. Well, the third. The other two are just before, but like it's around that era. And yeah, if you like historical stories, if you like YA now and then, I would say check it out. It's a good series. It is. Now that I've read the whole series, when I've finished the whole of it again, yeah, I think I might. Probably gonna be interesting in a way, I think, to read it all again because now, like, when I know how it ends. I mean, it's because sometimes you kind of feel like you know. Because I actually kind of thought it would end with Ravi and Ada being together. They're not. Ada, spoiler again, spoiler. But yeah, Ada ends up not being attached to anyone, which quite interesting. I suppose also in a way, I kind of feel like in a way the third book kind of in a way also like leaves way for a fourth book. Like, I mean, as I said earlier, I felt like these two kind of worked like a series, like kind of ended nice, and then there's a third one that's like interesting. Like, how's this gonna work? It worked, but as I said, it was jarring. So I feel like I don't know. Maybe if the author thought she had like a four book series, 4 book plan, and then it wasn't sold, like people didn't buy it, so she couldn't write the fourth book, or if she had planned to have this one being longer. But I suppose maybe like if you have this being longer, like if you had to edit lots of stuff out and something, I don't know. Just it's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, I think I would definitely reread it again, like in the future, because yeah, it is kind of cheesy and fun. At least the first two, probably maybe the first one, but yeah, the first two are very cheesy and fun and romantic in ways, and kind of feels weird how like the love story of Ada. It's kind of the, let's say in a way, yeah, the main plot point in a way of the first two books, and then she ends up not being with anyone. So yeah, feels a bit weird. But yeah, so yeah, I would say yeah, recommend them if you're wanting a nice, comfortable read set around the First World War, set in England, and but it also, I mean, it talks about the independence in India, independence in Ireland. So I suppose also like if you want to give this to like actual teens, I mean, a lot of us read YA, but we aren't teens ourselves. But I would say like actual teens will probably also very much enjoy this because it's not that difficult language, and well, I suppose teens can read, but like if you're like 13, 14, it's not like difficult to read. Sometimes you think like, oh, historical books, so many difficult words. No, it's not difficult words there, not really. And it might be like a gateway to learn about Indian independence, and Irish independence, and suffragettes, and what have you. So yeah, I would definitely say check it out. I would say like before, I feel like kind of felt like I talked about this being my one of my favorite series. Honestly, with the third book being so interesting as it was, I'm not sure if I want to say it's my favorite series anymore. But it's not an awful series. So yeah, and it's not, yeah. So for what I was saying, it's not life changing, but it is a very good. Let's not that check. It's not very good, but yeah, it's a enjoyable read. So yeah, I hope you have a nice day, evening, whatever when you're watching this. And if you have read this, let me know what you think about them. If you have other YA historical recommendations to give me, please talk to me in Doodle, and I'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye.